Skughunik, Anyam Chigik, Michael, David, Anthony, Enis, Igam Ho Amja, the Waktap, Tohono O'odham, Tachorigam, Masisafta, Mamchio, Mamtasho, Nanko Haichu Aga, Himadagaga, Chik Wak O'odham Aga, Tohono O'odham, Haichu Aga, Mad Wursich, Mad Pump Apim, Maptasho, Mapka, but the my haichu mai masiskuk agadak matoyum to apim humachkam but sap mam urit mam paich mam hihim which is aidak. Good afternoon or good evening, and my name is Michael David Enis, and I come from a village known as Wak, also known as Sanavir, part of the Tohono O'odham Nation. And let's see here. My mom, her name is Janice Felix, and my father is the late Eugene Enis Sr. Butt, and my wask, his name was Michael Enis from Sanavir, and my kak was from her name was Agnes Pablo Enis from San Miguel in Sawkud District, Southern District in the Tohono O'odham Nation. My Bob, his name was David Felix Butt from South Comlick in a village called Jitagawahia. And then my Hu'ur, my mom's mother, her name was Mary Jeanette Adams Felix, they're from Sanavir. And I come from a proud member of the Buzzard clan, and so I have that going for me. And I have one daughter, her name's Aria Enis, and she just turned 3. And so, and 2 stepsons. And so I live there in Wak, and I work currently at Babakari Unified School District, which is pretty much the main school district on the Tohono O'odham Nation. I work at Babakari Secondary Campus, mainly focused at Babakari High School. And I'm celebrating actually my 10th year. May will be completing my 10th year. So, what else to share real quick? I'm sure more things will come up as I share with you. I kind of I'm going to be bouncing around. It's going to seem like I don't know what I'm doing, but I kind of know what I'm doing. The last time I was here, I shared a little bit different, and there's some things that are going to be similar. But I wanted to talk about home, meaning where I come from. And it's known as Wak, and I'll get a little bit more into it. But I usually, when I get asked to do things, I think of the moment, the place, what I see, what's around me, where am I going. And one of the things, like I mentioned, talking about Wak, but also when you walk in here, you pass your shudak, your akmar, your water. For us, we don't have a running water, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But there's a sort of funny story and a song that came from what I'm going to share. And a few years ago, or when I was a kid, there's a place by our cemetery, and we used to call it the ramps, because all of us that had bikes would go over there, and they had real nice ramps, and that's where the district would get excess dirt to fill in the dirt roads and things. And so it made it bumpy, and there's some steep hills from the banks of this wash. So we'd all go over there and ride our bikes. Okay, so there was a part where you could cross over. And then a few years later, the Sanavir Co-op Farm redid their rehabilitation, and they changed a lot of things. Okay, so one rainy summer, we couldn't get across, and on the whole traffic of Valencia, and we were carpooling. I was working for the education department in sales, and we're carpooling, and the van couldn't go across, and I just said, I know how to get across, like, I'm okay. Just drop me off by the cemetery, because I live on the opposite side, near the church, and I can walk. I know where I'm going. So they dropped me off. Are you sure? And like, yeah, I'm sure. So I start walking, not realizing that when they did the rehabilitation, they took out a lot of the, I guess, the shallow part, but there used to be an area where it was like kind of like a bridge. They took that out. So I couldn't cross because the water was moving fast. So there I was with the O'odham who lived on the west side of the wash, and I needed to go to the east side of the wash. So I was stuck. So I was pretty much stuck, and I had to call someone to go all the way around because that wash was going to be running, and it was getting dark. And so I was standing there, and this song kind of came from that moment. And there was these young Hispanic men. They had a lifted, I think it was like a Ford or Chevy truck. It was really lifted, and they tried to make it across that wash. And if you've ever been to Santa Vera to the Mission Church, and you come from the western side by our old cemetery, it goes up. And so this truck, these young Hispanic men, they gun it, and they get stuck in the middle. And the back end of the truck starts moving, and everybody on the west side of the community is like watching them, and those young men, they squeeze and they get out. There's 3 of them, and the 2 get on the back, and they're just jumping. They're jumping and they're going, and this really looks like the water is going to take it away. And that driver kept pushing on the gas and going, and then it got out. It eventually got out. So this is that song that kind of tells all that. And I'm going to sing it for you. Gyohodam, Gyohodam, Wachewun, Dashai Hodinging Oihim, Shuta Kimamarihim, Oi Kim Otamya, Shuta Kimamarihim, Oi Takwaika Oihim. Gyohodam, Gyohodam, Wachewun, Atashai Hodinging Oihim, Shuta Kimamarihim, Oi Kim Odamnya, Shuta Kimamarihim, Oi Takwaika Oihim. Gyohodam, Wachewun, Atashai Hodinging Oihim, Shuta Kimamarihim, Oi Kim Odamnya, Shuta Kimamarihim, Oi Takwaika Oihim. Gyohodam, Gyohodam, Wachewun, Atashai Hodinging Oihim, Shuta Kimamarihim, Oi Kim Odamnya, Shuta Kimamarihim, Oi Takwaika Oihim. Gyohodam, Gyohodam, Wachewun, Atashai Hodinging Oihim, Shuta Kimamarihim, Oi Kim Odamnya, Shuta Kimamarihim, Oi Takwaika Oihim. Gyohodam, Wachewun, Atashai Hodinging Oihim, Shuta Kimamarihim, Oi Kim Odamnya, Shuta Kimamarihim, Oi Takwaika Oihim. Gyohodam, Wachewun, Atashai Hodinging Oihim, Shuta Kimamarihim, Oi Kim Odamnya, Shuta Kimamarihim, Oi Takwaika Oihim. So what it's saying is the Gyohod, the rainbow, because as I waited for my ride, somebody pulled up in the cemetery, and I was telling them I thought I knew how to get home, but I'm stuck here and I gotta wait. And the sun was going down, and this rainbow was over in the evening, and that's what it's saying, that the rainbow was above the village called Wak, Dash Hudinging, that the sun's going down, and that the O'odham, they come and they're looking at the water, and the water's moving, and it goes out to all the fields in the irrigation, Waika. It flows into the irrigation and goes out towards the fields. And so that's the song. And we sing it, I sing it at home. Like there's certain songs I don't sing at work, I don't sing, unless it's something like this. Usually those are just for home. And that's the story. My moment of thinking I knew where I was going, but because I hadn't at that time really walked around and saw the land change and the changing in my village, thinking, and I was just stuck. And that's like, for me, how do you not do that? How to always know when walking in the village or walking around and seeing what is changing, what's happening, to know your village. And, if I did, I would have known they would have taken that out, And so I thought about that because of the video. When you first walk in the water, and thought about how am I going to start this? What should I do? And like I mentioned, it all just kind of comes in pieces. And wanted to start with home. This is our Toag, one of our main ones, and it's called Sawkud, the Black Mountain in our village. And behind it, the mountain's called Skubaju, the Brown Mountain. Skubaju Toag in the back, and Sawkud, the Black Mountain here. And you can't see it, but this is if you're coming from the north into the community in Wak, Sanavir. There's another mountain further back, and that's called Uumkam Toag, Yellow Mountain. And there's a story that talks about Uumkam when I guess there was a time that the O'odham started eating too much meat, and as you know him as Su'a, he at night created these creatures to go all over our land. And he made a cave over there at Uumkam, Yellow Mountain. And he told these creatures to go at nighttime to round up all the animals and take them away, the meat animals. So when the the hunters tried to go out, they couldn't find it. And as the story goes on, they had to ask the coyote and buzzard to work together. And at that time, they, like the rivalry between the buzzard and the coyote, they didn't want to work together, but they were all hungry. And so they had to work together, coyote running on the land and buzzard in the sky, and trying to trust each other, being mad, but working together to find. And those creatures in that Uumkam, in that mountain, they started eating the animals and roasting them inside. And that's what got Coyote's nose. And so he started running towards there, and they found it, and they opened up the cave, and all the animals came out. But in those stories, hunter stories, it leads into other things about that Uumkam. So just kind of want to share that. And this here is an image of on top of the Toag, and this is Wak, Sanavir. And to the east, you see Toagusawa, the Rincon Mountains east of Tucson is called Toagusawa, Turkey Neck Mountain. And then Babat, Frog Mountain, Mount Lemon, Babat Toag. One of the things for us is that, and maybe you hear different versions, that when we were brought from the earth, and there's somewhere far in the east was a hole when we came out to see the world, when the Great War happened, and we went to the north, went from the east to the north, to the west, and the south, and back to the east. We're counterclockwise people. Waira, Gombia, Kuihina, processions, we're counterclockwise people. And they say because that's where it started. When the O'odham came from the east, when Ita went into the ground, and the O'odham warriors came and they fought all the first people in the Aga and the story, and then we went that way. But one of the things is that, yes, there are wild turkeys, and I guess the O'odham then, they killed one. And it's in the Aga and the stories that those people who lived before us O'odham, they had names of everything. But when the O'odham came out of the ground, they didn't know what to name these things, so they got named by what happened. And so when they killed a turkey and they took off the neck, they threw it at the Thoag. And then that's how it got its name, Toagusa, Turkey Neck Mountain. Then the Babat, Frog Mountain, I was always told that it looks like a frog. You know, from our area, right? I guess mid-Tucson, you can see, I can envision where the big eyes are. So then when you hear other people, they'll say, no, it's a real frog that's maybe the size of something big, and it's still up there. And then just most recently, and it's all people's point of view, because I have a student, and they come from the West, and I hardly ever come, you know, from Marana into Tucson, and I guess from Marana's point of view, looking east, it does look like a frog that's sleeping there. Never thought of that, because I don't live there. I don't see that. I don't picture that. But when one of the students' parents, he said, yeah, I was telling my daughter that that's Babat Thoag. And he said, because it's laying there. It's asleep. And it's laying on the ground. And I thought, I never thought of that. Never saw it from that point of view, that it's a frog asleep. But the way that happened was the medicine people. Well, there's two versions. One was that, like that, when they killed a frog and the frog was stretchy and they used it like a bag. And when it was done, they threw it at that Thoag, and that's why it was called Babat Thoag. But the other one was the two medicine people who were fighting with each other, and they wanted to see who had the better power. And one had a pet snake, and the other one had a rabbit, and the snake ate the rabbit. And that Makai, the medicine man, was sad. And so he was just wandering out there, and he came across a frog. Then he picked up the frog, and he started to talk to it. And like medicine people or gifted people, when they have dreams, because the man, he lived alone. And so when he would wake up in the morning or whatever dream he had, vision, song, he would always tell that frog. And somehow that frog got big with knowledge and got big and big. And it worried the people because it was unusual and it was too powerful. So the warriors got together around and tried to kill it, but the frog knew ahead of time. It finally knew that it was going to always be bothered and it had to go hide. So in our village in Wak, that's why it's called that, Wak, because in that story, that the frog's jumping around and it went in the ground and popped back up and hid over there in the mountain. But when he went in the ground near our village, that's why the whole Iwak, it went in the water, because the water table at one time was so high that a spring came out. And so that's one of the things they tell us about our village. And now you know. I know Apim are Guri Akimat, but there, the Santa Cruz is the Ari Akimat. The Ari Akimat, the Child River, the Santa Cruz River, which no longer flows, but you know, it's something that the people there in Tucson and Santa Vera, all the way, I think, up to Chichu here in south of Casa Grande, you know, need it for farming. And that's what we know it as the Ari Akimat. And again, life in the Santa Vera area, and this here, and the other images that you'll see in the 1940s, well, history tells us is that when the Spanish came in the 1600s, they brought a lot of sickness. And they stayed along the river, like the Santa Cruz, Ari Akimat. And it brought a lot of sickness to the people who were the O'odham that lived around those areas. And they mostly died off. And for some reason, the Ga'aji O'odham from like Gaijamuk, San Rosa, Akchin, they migrated. They went to like Serenagya, San Pedro, Bandak, and all the way on to Santa Vera. And they would have kinship terms, or like families that type back there. And so I guess after so many generations, then that's what have the rivalry between Santa Vera and Ga'aji. And so this was the last time in Sanivere hosted that rivalry game in April, in the spring, in the 1940s, when Ga'aji came to play the racing games and toka. I don't think I have a toka picture in here, but I'm proud to say that we're trying to start that tradition again. This coming Saturday is when our toka players from our village went to Ga'aji, or went to Gaitumuk, San Rosa, to ask them to play, challenge them, I guess, and they're going to play Saturday. I think it starts 9 o'clock is Menudo, and the games are at 10 or 11. And that's what's going to be there in the farm. And it's all between Sanivere and Ga'aji, San Rosa, to restart, what once was. And then storytelling, and then ending with Kuehina, round dance in the evening time. So if you make your way to Sanivere on Saturday, if you have nothing to do, then I invite you. And I'm sure some of you have seen this image, and that was a part of that in the 1940s. And you can see the hill in the back, which is just east of the village in Sanivere. What I like about this is, what I tell the students is that, they tell us in the games, there's so many distractions. You have people who are against you, and you have people who are for you, and it's up to you as the runner. Who do you listen? Who are the familiar voices that are encouraging you? But there's also people who are trying to distract you. And, just listen to those voices that are encouraging you to keep going, even because people bet on you. People put everything they have that you are going to be the best. So, and this is a part of it here. If you kind of notice that the one with the X, I think Ga'aji really likes to use the X. And for us in Sanivere, we like the dots. And so that's how you can see the difference between them. And usually, and I'll talk about this in later on, for us, we call this the Jokona. And the host, the coming village, meaning who's coming into the village, they're the ones to sing first. And then when the games play and when everything's over, the host village is the one to sing last. And they sing them as they go back home. And this is probably the end, because those are the dancers from the village there in Sanivere and Walk. And then the outgoing people, meaning probably be San Rosa, that's probably their ladies dancing with them. That's why they have ribbons or rope or cloth on either side, and the ladies would hold them and dance with them, like the last song and the going home song or blessing song. And you can see in the corner the Tucson mountains, like Old Tucson and things in that corner, the right corner. Always found it interesting that house. I don't know how many guys could fit up there, but if you can see it, all those men and hats over there on top of the house. And I don't know if it's this one. I don't know if I have another one. No, I guess I don't. But in another picture, there's a dog. I guess all of them really like little dogs, like how people are now. Because there's a little dog, and again, I don't think it's in this picture, but there's another one, and there's a dog that's like kind of chasing them. So I think even all of them back then, they like little dogs for whatever reason. So if you are one of those that likes little dogs, I guess that's where it comes from. And then again, the mountains there in Walk. And then home, how home was then, and the difference between the adobe and the grasses. A lot of this is really kind of geared to the young people from our community, to show how life was and how things are. And I know you can't see it in this, but again, in Old Tucson, in that right corner is those mountains in the back. and they have, I think they're ducks. Ducks, I don't know why they had ducks back then, but that's what's in that corner where the man's standing and all the little white, those are ducks. Maybe they ate it, I don't know, but that in this image you can see them, the ducks. And this was probably in the 1950s. Again, a lot of this is geared to our community people, young people, and it's amazing to look at this and you see like a lot of our songs had to do with the seagulls, the long-necked birds because of the water, the fields, and the clouds. That's really a lot of our ilk. We don't really have a lot of songs that rainbows, the other type of birds. A lot of it is just all white, and the white seagulls and the clouds. That's mainly our ilk, our images. And now we usually just have the cowhide drum, but you see they had several basket drums, not just one. And then there's even like peacock feathers, like the man more to the right, he has the peacock, why he was having them. But if you hear the Uduvik, I think that's maybe how you say it, but Udawa, like the peacock, how it was made, and peacock feathers, I was told, are good for kids, good for change. If you use peacock feathers in a positive way, that it's good to give to someone or when they're trying to change their life. Because in the Hawk's Aga, the peacocks came from her later on in the story. And then again, when Father Kino came and established the church there in Sanavir, and I want to just acknowledge that even though our community was highly influenced by Christianity, there's still some things that were not encouraged by the Catholic Church, but by the O'odham, especially the Hugga and the Mamakai, medicine people. And one of them is our village feast day that starts, it's always December 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And it's interesting, our feast day starts with the morning star. When I was a kid, my dad, he was really a big part of the feast. And when I was young, he would wake us up, and it was always 4 o'clock, December 2nd. Always, they put the flag and goidas, fireworks, and until when I asked, well, why do they do it at 4? And the older man, he said, well, it's really supposed to be like autumn. When we start our day, that's when the morning stars above the village. And you start the feast that way, not with the coming of the sun, but with the morning star to announce to the village that it's here. Like it's our kind of new year, to celebrate those that have passed away throughout the year, but also us that are living. And asking the saint, asking goodness to bless our village and everything that comes together. Because in the 1800s, a lot of O'odham would travel to Sanavir and camp there for a whole month, because then it went from our feast days to Christmas to New Year's. And so and even Hugam Hiakim, Yakis would come over. So it was a pretty big thing. So if you're ever in the area, December 3rd and 4th, come over. And then this is, my dad used to call it Wanjur Tash Flag Day, when they would exchange. We have 6 feast committees. It's hard to explain when you don't see it or when you don't grow up with it. It's something that's, especially on this day, December 4th, when the outgoing committees and their families get together. The district is closed for the day. It's a good feeling. You're celebrating the ending of one term for one group, and they're excited for the next group. The roles that they're going to put on for the community for that 1 year. It's 12 couples, 24 people. And my grandmother used to say they had to be married, but now it's different. Like for me and my mom, when my dad passed away, I took over for my dad. So it's me and my mom. And it's really men driven by when things are going to happen. And that this elder man in the front, he has 2 terms that leader, sacristicio or cristiano. He's like the head man of the village. And, he's the one to lead us all. And right now there's a man that's in that job, and that's those terms they call him, cristiano or sacristicio. And he's like our godfather to all of us. And they tell us like that we're all comari and compari, like we're all brothers and sisters, we're all connected. And that's those like emic terms that we're supposed to call each other, comari and compari, because we're all connected through this. And this is what it is now. And like I said, like the belief, even though it is in Christianity, but it's like strong, and it is fading away, just like all things. But like the man, he's passed away, but that was his title, like the other man in the picture, Cristiano. And you can barely see my face, like way in the back. This was in 2015. 2015, but since 2015, some of these men have gotten out or have passed away. So right now, when me and my mom, that's the thing, is when the man passes away, the lady can stay in, but she goes to the back. So when my dad died, because he was the leader at the time, my mom had to go to the back. And we started at the back, and right now we're number 4. Because all that time, some of the men have passed away, and we all just move up over those years. And it's a celebration. That's the man, they really, and all the ladies, they encourage them, you have to wear a dress. There's no pants for ladies. They're really stern and give that talk. And for us men to dress up, because it's a celebration, and our colors are red and white. It's for the feast and things. So, and again, just coming together, and COVID changed a lot of that, community. But somehow we found a way. And why I'm showing this to you is because it's a sense of belonging. It's a sense of things. It's coming together. And that was one of the purposes of coming to share, is encouraging coming together as a community. It does take a lot of work, and yeah, usually it's the same people at all these events, but I guess with me and saying it to you is don't lose hope that it will continue. It will continue because someone's always watching. And I hope they only watch the good, and we're all not perfect people, but it's when we come together, I guess it's our redemption in a way, our suffering, to do that for our village and all villages, And then these are just images of the church and how it is now, and difference, and the community, and it's really different now, really different now. And this is home. I wanted to highlight Miss Rafinia Morris. If you ever see this book, they used to sell it at the gift shop in Sanavir, but I think it's also through the U of A, or I don't know if it's on Amazon, but I would encourage you to purchase it, read it, especially her, Rafinia, but I don't see a lot of basket makers making baskets that big. But, it's something like, I was glad to know her. We weren't related, but it was one of those that my mom brought me up to. Everybody in the village was your grandma, So it was kind of that talk, and some of the old songs is how I learned from her. And then Rosanna Carlisle, Rios Carlisle. And a little bit of history is it was her and some other of the elders that sued the United States government to get the Sawarsa, the water rights for the community to start up the farm and do all those things, CAP, to get down to Sanavir, and then create the Shugadoak farms, and some of it going to different places. And so these things take work, but it takes time and energy. And then one of my grandmothers, her name was Elena. Elena Garcia, but Irina. One of the things that I didn't get to do is not knowing I ever would have a daughter. And I told myself if I did have a daughter, I would name her that, Irina. Or if I had a goddaughter, I would name her that. But when Arya came, I guess we went with Arya. And for a middle name, I said I wanted Marie, Arya Marie. Because there's a feast committee in our village. They call it Mamariria, the Mary's group. It's all ladies. And she was one of the founding members, along with my other grandma. Her name was Roro. I guess that's how you say Dolores in O'odham, Roro. So her name was Mary Dolores. And she was a strong woman. And I don't think I have an image of her in here, but she would make the dresses and clothes for the saints there in Sanver. And but Irina, she was a hard worker. You see our kitchen does not look like that, so it's different now. It's similar, but it's been in use. So you go there, it's not like that, but it's, I guess I like hearing stories. I use this because of how are people going to look at us when we're gone on the stories that we lived. And I think when we come from communities, we were able to say, oh, that person did this, and she was good at that, and this is what they used to do. And I think about that. My grandma here, Irina, she liked to make baskets. My dad used to say when he was a kid that she was always the pot race, always win the pot race there in the front of the feast house. And for us, I guess they would put candy. And so when they would hope that a lady would fall, and it sounds bad, but if she fell in the hot race, then that candy would go, and all the kids go there and get candy during Christmas. But a little sad story is, and you hear about these things, especially among you basket makers. But south of our village, like the mountains I showed you, they get basket material. But in July, I think in 1983 or 82, or in the early 80s, they got lost. They got lost. Her and another elder lady had gone out there. And my mom says that she never drove, but she had a truck. So she would always have someone, come drive her to town or things. So she took care of a lot of my mom's cousins. And so she always had a truck, but she never drove. But she needed basket material that summer. So they went. And I guess they probably got dehydrated and delusional. So the other driver couldn't find her. So she left. And so my mom tells that when the family found out, they all got together. And my dad was working at the mine at the time. And I had to throw this in there because my mom, and I've seen it a couple of times, she never learned how to drive stick. And my dad, it was a 1946 Ford. And it was his grandfather. And my mom asked my dad when he got off work if they could use the truck and throw all my mom's cousins in there to go out there. And so I can only imagine what my mom was thinking, because I've seen that before with my mom trying to put it in all the gears. But my mom says that it was a night, and then the next morning the cowboys got on their horses and they went out and they found her. Or she already had passed away. And underneath the tree near a wash. And so that, I guess to me, I never met her, but the stories I hear in our village about how she lived and how stern she was and how you do things in the feast house or how you do things. And I wanted my daughter to be like that. And she kind of is, she, as young as she's only 3, but she's something. And so, and again, like I mentioned with Mary Dolores, like strong grandmas. You don't see grandmas like this no more. And that's why again, like I mentioned, a lot of this is highlighted to the younger people. This is who this was for our village and so forth. And there's my wask, my grandfather. And that's my boot. And that's my Sawkud. I was named after him, my wask. And he was a wider musician. He played the saxophone. And he was an educator, a welder. and I didn't really get to know him until the last 2-3 years of his life, just because he lived away from our village and differences between him and my kak. And I was more favorite, or I was more closely with my kak, my grandma, my dad's mom. And so I guess I chose a side, meaning my kak side. And then after she ended up in the nursing home, trying to build a relationship with him, my wask. And in the last years, that's all I called him, wask. And he would tell about all different things. And now since he's passed, and when I talk at the school, I catch myself saying, my wask said this, and my wask did this. And like, it makes me feel good, because I was able to call him that when he was alive, and also the memories, and say that, like, that my wask did this. And always said, put salt in your beans. And I think another was, Waida makes you feel happy, even when you're sad and sick. But you hear that tune that overtakes you, and you forget what's happening. You forget all those things. But for me, I was a little bit different. I was the Sawkud. That's what I feel with the songs, you know. And I think to make a connection, I picked up the saxophone. And I put it, it's not my first thing, it's the Sawkud. I feel that that's me. But once in a while, you know, I'll play, and for a while I had my saxophone gone, and I got another one, and just playing at home. And my daughter, they got her some instruments for Christmas. And so when I bring out my saxophone, she'll want to play either her little drum set or her kid guitar, or I gotta get her accordion. And so I was telling one of my good friends that, like, I don't know why I'm playing. Like, I'm practicing, but I don't want to join a band. I'm not starting a band. It's something I am doing. And I remember him saying, well, just do it. You don't need a sign. You don't need a white bird to fly in the sky and say, that's my sign. Or he said, just do it. And one day the sign will happen why you're doing it. And I just want to kind of end that part is, for a lot of you that may be here, community events, doing whatever it is, like, don't wait for a sign. Just do it. Like how I'm feeling with the saxophone. Like, I don't know why I'm doing it. Like, not going to start a band. I'm not doing that, but I want to do it because I like my daughter hearing it, and she likes playing it, and maybe she'll like it and do it. But that's the connection with my wask and my dad and the Enis side. And so let this be a sign to you, like, just keep doing it. And the sign will happen. Why you are running, why you are teaching, why you're doing what you're doing, or want to do it, just get in there and do it. And so I wanted to also just move over, and like I mentioned, in the title was talking about engagement, like songs, stories, and how to help your community, because I'm sure that we're all in the same situation on community involvement, and people aren't doing what they did, or no one wants to keep things alive. You just have to do it, and it does take a lot of energy. But in these pictures, I'm going to skip ahead. If you don't know, like when I talk about some of these places, like Sanavir, we're over there, south of Tucson, and some of these places I mentioned are all these things here. So if you've never seen a map of the Tohono O'odham Nation, this is us. But, and then our months, just highlighting what we are in, and I'm sure they're a little bit different months than what you may call them. But one of the things is Bahidach. One year, I was working with Tohono O'odham Community Action, and they would always have a Bahidach harvest in different places. And I learned how to harvest, I learned how to make the syrup, and one of my cousins, she said, you're always gone You're always gone, and the only time we ever hear you sing for us in Sanivir is at midnight mass. And I was thinking about it, and it's like, okay, so that summer I put up on our social media in our village, would any of you take interest in learning how to pick baidach? And I said, we're going to have a meeting at the feast house. And I was thinking, 2 people show up, I'm happy. Like, 2 people want to learn how to pick baidach, okay, we're going to be okay. And we had about 30-some people that came, and I didn't know what to do because I wasn't expecting that many people. And they were all for it. And a lot of them were the aunties and the grandmas. They wanted their kids. They didn't know, but they wanted to learn to teach their kids. So we committed to 4 years to do a community baidach harvest. And we would meet in the morning at our feast house, and we had the district vans, vehicles, trucks, and would all caravan out the village and then go to the Saguaro National Park. We had to apply for permits, do all those things, and then we would come back and cook the syrup. I was cook the baidach at the feast house, and that was our base, you know. Then they would play bingo throughout the day, have raffles and things, and I really didn't expect that. And if you don't know what baidach is, it's the sorrel fruit, marking the autumn new year. And, you know, as you just kind of brushing up on our baidach skills, make sure that when the flowers come out, it's a sign to get ready. But also remember to let the birds harvest first and the animals. Let them eat first and then go out and harvest. And bless yourself, however way you're taught to do that. And then these are just images of sito making. And then, again, picking baidach. But it brought us together. It really brought us together. And I know everyone's different, but for us, we use shugi instead of the wahpai, saguaro rib, because they told us that it's stronger and you're supposed to skin it and soak it in water. And then it's really good that the saguaro rib will break eventually. But when you soak and skin the shugi branch, and then you have it more like just like a pencil, it's moments like that why it's bent, not like a cross, but at a tilted like that. And when we knocked it down, it's like, oh, this is why. This is evidence why you have it the way it does. And so I added that in the presentation. And if you didn't know that baidach has a little knife of its own, and you can save the top and skin it down and pull out the baidach. And then try to leave the pods. I think on social media I see a lot of people, and again, everybody's different, but just explaining and sharing some things I think it helps in 2 purposes. One, it doesn't make your bucket all heavy, so by the time you get home or to your car, there you are just trying to clean out all. You go as a team or like a unit. One knocks with your koi pot, the other one picks up the June. Even if they don't have a koi pot harvest stick, the June, the dry baidach that are around. Even if it has rocks, don't worry about it, throw it in there. Or that, like kids, mainly like kids, if you have them, the baidach comes down, they're the ones cutting it open and pushing it out, and leave the pods. And it does make your bucket lighter. And I think instead of at home when people throw it near here, I think it gives back to the earth. It gives back to that area. But the Little O'odham belief is that it helps call the rain. Why we try to push the pods facing up. But it's in the songs and the stories that the okokoi will come and eat, kind of lick the pods or eat what's left over. And so there's a song that may make a connection to some of you. It's a baidach song. And it goes, Siyar kukim kuhudwanyanai ohim. Siyar kukim kuhudwanyanai ohim. Kam ho guwawahim jana yahayo mi kukyopa. Kam ho awahim jana yahayim no gu. Aroa siskoma kiroko koi. Ia no da koti oima siwa amakanyata. Sapo kakai kamkukum. Siar kukim kuhuduanyanai ohim. Siar kukim kuhuduanyanai ohim. Kam hoku awim jana yahayo mikukyopa. Kam ho awim jana yahayim noku. Aroas skoma kiroko koi. Ia noda kotioima siwa amakanyata. Sapo kakai kamkukum. And it's saying that when the day stands up, the sun, the harvester is there, and there's so many of the Sawaro, Sahashan, like so many, and they all have baidach, and doesn't know where to start. He goes and sees more baidach over here, but then looks and sees more baidach, even more, and don't know which way. But then you just pick one, and you just keep going. But then the okokoi, the morning dove, comes later, and he sees that you already, all what you left behind like this, and he starts trying to gnaw at all what was left because he came later in the morning. And so it serves many purposes. You don't know what to do, just pick something and do it. But also, like in education, they tell us, well, you teach the kids like that. You get up early in the morning because you get there first. You know, if you're not there, someone else is going to get there first and do it all. And when you come, you're getting what's left over. So that's like in the Baidach songs. They talk about harvesting and things. And like I said, it's all geared to what. And when you look at this, if you've ever smelled Baidach, like it just, that smell of mesquite wood or Palo Verde, and that, I don't know, like it just, I hope all of you have or will get to smell it when it's cooking. It is something that it's unforgettable. So I like looking at that picture because it's like, all right, that's a good smell. Mm-hmm. And the sweetness and the pulp. And one funny thing about this is this is my wikor, my great grandma. Her name was Cecilia Annie McGill Felix, and in Cells, they live south of in Cells and near a hill. And this is on that hill. One summer, I think after my mom's younger brother passed away, we went to my great grandma's house, and I climbed the hill, and that's the image. And my aunts, Rhonda and Dolores, they were telling a story that time, was that my great grandma got after them because they were going to go pick baidach at like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning. And she said, you do that in the morning or you do that in the evening. But she said they were probably like 7 or 8 years old, and they got their basket and they wanted to go pick baidach, even though it's like 10 o'clock. And they were near this, she said. They were near the hill on the opposite side. And there they were, and they had their whole basket almost full with all kinds of baidach. But then the rattlesnake, was out. And I guess they were walking with their big basket. They got scared and they threw it. They threw it and they ran away. And I thought it was funny. And they said, well, what do you think the lesson is? Like, do what your grandma tells you. You go in the morning. And they never went to go get that basket. So I think this image, it reminds me of that story. So baidach season is coming. Even though we're in January, if you think your community can do one or go to some place to do it, go. You create memories. You create moments. And, you know, my mom wasn't brought up traditionally, but I would think I was 6 years old. My birthday is in July, and they had a Baidach camp. The late Camillus Lopez had a Baidach camp north of Covert Wells. And somehow my mom found out about it, and she wanted to take me. And I didn't want to go because it was hot, never picked Baidach, and sleeping outside, it didn't seem fun. But my mom forced me, and we went to go pick Baidach. And I didn't like it. But I did it, and I remember because, like I said, my birthday is in July, and we went to my great-grandma's house. I think we stayed over there after the camp, and they got me a leftover 4th of July cake from Bashis, because I remember them sitting it on the table, and it had a big fourth, like a plastic fourth, and it was in the red, white, and blue, and they took that off and they put a number 7. So that's how I knew I was 7 when all that happened. And the reason why I say that is because when I worked with Toka, down at the community action, they would tell us to ask the kids, what's your food memory? What is a traditional food memory? And if the harder and less the kids have a traditional food memory, that's something to worry about. Because then that means they're not getting the food. They're not getting O'odham food, and they're not making connections to their food and where it comes from. And I would say, well, mine's is Baidach. My mom didn't know nothing, and we're out there together, but as her son and her as my mom wanted to create a moment. And so I think of Baidach, I think of my mom. Same thing like with Had, and that kind of leads into Jukabik Mashat, the rain. The best month, July. There you go. The best month, July. When the Jugos comes and, it brings the rain, the Wopagi, lightning, and do Goyamari, Chichkida, rain ceremony. And for us, we still have our rain ceremony. And that was one of the things, like I mentioned, our connection to Gaichamak, that in the early 1993, when the elders went, because they still had a lot of connections to San Rosa, and they wanted to bring rain ceremony to help the farms. And so they had gone, and the late Simon Lopez, but Camillus, he told me before he passed that he remembered that they dedicated 4 years to come to Sanavir to sing the Chichkidanyanya rain songs. And then after that was Danny Lopez, but, and then ever since then that I've taken over to lead the songs, rain songs for the village. And again, a lot of this is geared to our young people or district people, the history. And then it's always the last Friday. Well, this time it was July 23rd. For us, it's always the last Friday of July is our rain ceremony. And try to plead to the men to help, to stay up there and watch the fire and lead the songs and do their thing. So if you remember the last Friday of July, come out, and the last 2 years it's always rained. We couldn't go all the way to the morning. It's always about midnight when the big rain would fall, and people who have low vehicles, we are concerned about them because it's out there. And so we end and tell them, if you don't think your vehicle can get through the washes, you should go. And so we just end right there. The rain comes. And that's what it's for. You're singing for the rain. And then just some things, ladies on their moon or pregnant shouldn't go. Even the men and ladies are always encouraged to wear their skirts for ceremony. And then, again, no women are allowed to go to the roundhouse until the day of the songs. Some moms will drop off their sons, single moms, and we tell them they have to drop them off at the gate and have their sons walk, because even that, it's really not meant for ladies to be around, as the sitor is being turned into nawit. Then what rain ceremony is and things, the Oriski, and that's the Oriski, Wa'aki, roundhouse. Our roundhouse isn't like that anymore, but I remember still as a kid when you had to get on all your hands and knees and crawl in, and then you kind of were able to walk inside. And the same thing, it's counterclockwise. Ladies are not allowed in there. And then when you come out, you get back on your hands and knees and you come out. It's like rebirth. It's supposed to be that representation of rebirth. This is Leonard Chana. I don't know if some of you remember Leonard Chana's work, but I really like this image of praying for the rain and being a part of the rain. And then squash planting. These are some of the things, and I'm sure a lot of you already know about our foods. But a squash memory is the only time I ever knew about squash was All Souls Day, when my great-grandma was alive. One of my great-grandmothers, the farm in San River would give all the elders squash. And as a kid, I did not know. I knew I would see it on her table, but I didn't know that it was like a pudding. I don't know if some of you have ever had the pudding. I think it's a pudding. I'll call it a pudding. You cut open the squash and you bake it. And then you lay it upside down. And the way you know the squash is done, you poke at it. And then when it's done, you get it out and you clean it all the way out. Like I guess it's like yams. I don't know. And then you put evaporated milk and cinnamon in there. That was good. I mean, it sounds bad, but it was really good. And my great-grandma would only make it during All Souls Day. And I didn't know what that was because I never saw my parents. I never saw that anywhere else but All Souls Day. And I remember sitting at my great-grandma's house with a bowl of that. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what you call it. And so I just kind of kept it to myself. And when I was working with Toka, I brought that because we were talking about what are food memories. And I said, well, I don't know what it is, but I think it comes from that. And those older people laughed at me and they said, yeah, that's what it is. But then the healthy version is agave, using agave or almond milk. But I think it's not the same. I think using evaporated milk is, but everyone has their thing. And you know how life was. And again, back to San River, harvest time. So don't worry, I got one more slide here, and then we'll kind of be done. So again, this is home. I keep talking about home. It's growing up, memories, and this is another image of the clouds. Like I mentioned, they use the dots and the seagulls and the birds. And I don't know why, if it's either the mountains or lightning, you see that they like using the triangles. And even if next time you go to the church in San River, you see them. If you ever walk in and you look up high, you'll see triangles. And that's, I don't know if it represents mountains or lightning. But when you really sit in the church and you see, I guess you look beyond the Christianity, the images, there you see the O'odham images, like the seashells, the ocean, the water, the different things that kind of are hidden. And that's what's unique about that church is O'odham secretly, I guess, did involve in some of those things, and you had to look beyond it to see it. So there's a song we sing, and it's about the white birds, and it goes, Tota oe ganya ta, tota oe ganya ta, ugadam wa chuwad, sapo anya chuwad, tota oe xikorata. Tota oe ganya ta, tota oe ganya ta, ugadam wa chuwad, sapo anya chuwad, tota oe xikorata. That the white birds came around the village, all swirling around, and they go high all the way up towards the sky, singing. And why, like you see Mike Chiago's image, everyone's different. All the dancers that carry ilk, they call it ilk, they all have different things, and it's on their songs. For us, we only have the white birds and clouds, but others will have like the black birds rainbow, basket, ha'a. It's all depending on what the songs are about. And there's usually 10 formations that they do. And like I mentioned, it's when the host village comes in to play the games, that's when they come in singing their songs. And then when they play the games, the host, that's the opposing village, the host village will sing them out as they start singing their songs and to go back home, wherever they come from. And again, the image before. It's too bad I didn't put the dog. Next time I'll add in the dog. And everything starts at sundown, like kuhina, storytelling, all these things. It's there's 2 songs I thought about coming up here. One, it's the late Lorenzo Pablo had a song about the evening. Holding in tanok nyai kaina kema. Holding in tanok nyai kaina kema. Ko jamoi wa kamnyai na choma. Ho donyo no him. Kana siwa amkanyata. Holding in tanok nyai kaina kema. Ko jamoi wa kamnyai na choma. Ho donyo no him. Kana siwa amkanyata. Saying that the songs are starting and they hear a sound. It's the rattle. All of them starting. And all of them hear this sound and they want to know where it's coming from. So they go. And the evening turns red as they're coming in the start of the songs. There's another one that's like my favorite. And it goes... Holding in a dano yarna hai chua sisamam sim dono da. Holding in a dano yarna hai chua sisamam sim dono da. Ba hona join nami owe kata nai piam kuwa. Holding in a dano yarna hai chua sisamam sim dono da. Holding in a dano yarna hai chua sisamam sim dono da. Ba hona join nami owe kata nai piam kuwa. Holding in a dano yarna hai chua sisamam sim dono da. Ba hona join nami owe katam nai piam kuwa. Holding in a dano yarna hai chua sisamam sim dono da. Ba hona join nami owe katam nai piam kuwa. And it's saying that as the sun's going down, there's this big pool of water. And a bird comes flapping its wings. And the singer sees this. And as the bird glides over the water, it sparkles. And it just starts flapping its wings, gliding on the water. And it's so peaceful. And to me, it's like, in my mind, when I sing it, I'm asking the bird, everything good, prayers, bad, not so good, you're going to take it with you. Go towards the sun, take it away. But also when I'm happy, like it's a day lived, you know. My daughter, when I, like I said, practice the saxophone, I would take out the Sawkud and sing, and that was the first one, singing in the summertime. The sun's going down, and this happy that this happened, relaxing, you know, the evening songs, and that's what the evening songs are good. When you, I guess, look at it and hear the story, or listen to it in autumn, what it's telling about. And then this is the Salt River, Ak, and Kawitoak near San Rosa, and Kihotoak, and Kakot, the bent mountain, and that's the bottom part to that Uikam Kakot, superstitious mountains. and the story when the wave came and cut the mountain in half, when the dog talked and the O'odham turned to stone. Gildoig, bird and basket mountain. Eoricum, Kit Peak, Eoricum, that plant, manzanita, I think, plant that grows up there. I don't know why they call it that medicine. I guess it helps the ladies on their moon, that plant. I don't know too much about it, but that's why they call that Eoricum. Eoricum thought, Kit Peak. The song that we sing, Yorigame no wan, Yorigame no wan, Damai gachemo, Baagio wikasi korata, Mako hodoning atagyo, Sawkud Diaries. Chawakata mapaagyo wikasi korata. Yorigame no wan, Yorigame no wan. Tamai gachemo, paagyo wikasi korata. Mako hodoning atagyo, Sawkud Diaries. Chawakata mapaagyo wikasi korata. I used to write with my dad from Sanavir to Sal's, and I was on the Tohono O'odham Nation Youth Council at one time, and I was 18, 19 years old, and working with politicians is a very interesting thing as a young person. And there's times I didn't understand why people how they were to me. Either it's because of my parents or because of the village I came from, the district I was from, but a lot of it was hard. And there's times that I would feel bad getting out of cells and seeing Eoricum and thinking like, I don't want to do this no more. But my wask, he would say, don't give up, because the people will always remember you quit. And if you try to do anything later on in your life, and so don't hang in there. And I would want to be strong, and I think I didn't know how to tell my dad. And I would look out, especially right there on Highway 86, and look at the Toak and think like, I have no one to explain this to. And I would just like look at it and think I need to be strong, or why do I make this journey every day to leave home and to go to cells and pass you every day? And my term was coming up, and there's a calendar stick the youth council for the Tohono O'odham Nation uses, and the president has to engrave an image that represents them and the year that their group was. And there was this young man, his name was Sunny Narcho, but he was from Crohang, but is buried over there in Pisinamo'o. And I went over there to ask him, what does he think I should do? What should I put on there? And I made it, to put my mark on that stick. And a few days later, that song came to me. And it's talking about the eagle over the clouds, over Eoricum. And that in the west, as the sun's going down, is a bright red evening, and the eagle flies freely in the air and flying over the people. And that was my symbol. I put the eagle in a cloud in that song. I don't tell that a lot, but that's that with that song. Eoricum, Eoricum yeti. And Wawkiork, Wawkiork. Waiki wo no wan. Waiki wo no wan. Itoiki kamkuk. Basho O'odham chewud gut on riktash. Sky Mohema Sapo Nyai Chuta Simka Wa ki wo no one Wa ki wo no one Itoi ki kamkuk Pasho Autumn Chewwood Good on Riktash Sky Mohema Sapo Nyai Chuta Simka Wa ki wo no one Itoi ki kamkuk Basho Autumn Chewwood Good on Riktash Sky Mohema Sapo Nyai Chuta Simka Wa ki wo no one Itoi ki kamkuk Basho Autumn Chewwood Good on Riktash Sky Mohema Sapo Nyai Chuta Simka. When I was probably about 18, 19 years ago, 8 to 19 years old, my great-grandfather, his name was Leonardo Rios, and he was a singer in our village, and I remember going over and, just, it was All Souls Day, and I went over there and I asked him, how do I know that I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing? How do I know I need something? And a few days later, that song came. And I never understood it for a while. And then it thinks, well, the person can go to Waukiork and ask Itoi, what am I doing? But whatever Itoi tells them and whatever they learn, they come from the mountain. They come from the mountain and they want everyone to feel good what they feel. And they're coming running down the land singing as the light shines all over the world. And I took that as at that time I didn't. It was many years after when it's like, oh, okay, that's what it means. That's what it meant. And usually that's our last song, meaning all the songs they sing and everything, it's all for you, but, and now it's your turn to go out and spread the goodness, spread that good feeling. Come running away from goodness in a way of you want to share it. You want to share it with everybody. You find that realization or you found your purpose or whatever it is, and you're just going to go tell it and share it. And yeah, you're going to get pushed around or laughed at or no one's going to believe you, but I guess keep that good feeling. And I guess that's the lesson for me, which might be different for you, but that's the little story of that song. Then the Kach, the ocean, Shoriguch, Pet Mountain by San Miguel. This more dome is United States and the rest is Mexico, right at the border, Shoriguch. Gan home konyoy, gan home konyoy, sapinta chewatam, sapinta gamnyo, gan home konyoy, gan home konyoy, gan home konyoy, sapinta chewatam, sapinta gamnyo, gan home konyoy, gan home konyoy, sapinta chewatam, sapinta gamnyo, gan home konyoy, gan home konyoy, sapinta chewatam, sapinta gamnyo, gan home konyoy.
Wo ma ga